Welcome to The Blueprint, where science meets spirituality meets self-love. The Blueprint is a journey of self-discovery intended to reconnect you to yourself and remind you that all the answers you seek, you hold within. I'm Marley Finnegan, creator of The Blueprint, a self-exploration based in unique perspectives and conversations around energy, empathy, and the body, mind, and soul. We hope this work inspires healing within our inner landscapes, which in turn reconnects us to healing our communities and Mother Earth. Join us for this exploration as we remember, recognize, and recall the myriad ways you can return to you. Welcome to The Blueprint. Before we begin today's episode, we wanted to start with a trigger warning. We do discuss the topic of suicide and suicidal thoughts in this episode. First of all, understand that we are not mental health experts, nor are we therapists. This is a conversation about our own lived experience. Second of all, if you are having suicidal thoughts or you feel that your mental health is a danger to you, there are resources that are available 24/7. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 1-800-273-8255. And the text line, you can text TALK to 741-741. And that is the crisis text line available at any time for support. Know that when we have these feelings, they are coming from a place of wanting to be healed. Also remember that the circle of our lived experience is omnipresent, and there is always an upside. There was always a swing back to the top, to joy. And from my lived experience, the mystical world, the unseen world of our spirit guides, angels, ancestors is always supporting us. We are never alone. So without further ado, we will get into it, and we are thankful that you're here. Welcome to The Blueprint. This is part 8, Imagining the Future. So in this part of the blueprint, we are going to cover a lot of the different tools that we have accessible to us around both our soul's history and the support that our soul has from those in our community, in our networks, and those that we don't even see. So if you're able, we're going to begin this episode by closing our eyes and doing a quick visualization. If you are driving or doing anything where you cannot close your eyes, then simply listen. We will begin. Imagine that you have roots growing from your spine and both of your feet, meeting up in a braid of beautiful roots, tying together and moving through the topsoil of the earth, down any structure or building that you're in, through that topsoil, through the deeper soil, through the various layers of the earth, to Earth's magma center, tying around the core of the earth, the molten hot core of the earth, connecting you and your energy down into Mother Earth. There is a white light coming down from the sky, from the heavens, from the cosmos, from the stars, coming through your crown chakra, through your head, lighting all of your body with beautiful golden white light. You are lit up and supported both from the ground and connected to the ground and stabilization of Earth's frequency, as well as the high vibration of spirit of the universe. You are supported. Now imagine you open your eyes and you're laying down in your favorite place in nature. Mother Earth is holding you, soothing you, calming your energetic field. You can smell just how fresh the air is, and it carries in the sense of the surrounding plant life. You feel the vast web of all those in your network, the seen and unseen, the loved ones living today, the friends, the family, and all the people you're connected to, not in bodies today, who love you, angels, guides, all your ancestors, ascended masters, star family, all those in service to your highest good and the highest good of humanity. They support you, and you can feel that you are never alone. As you sit up, you realize that there are many people around you, bustling in the beautiful surroundings of your favorite place. But it doesn't feel like today. There's no sound of highway traffic, and people look different. There's a slowness to their actions, a calm knowingness to what they do. The sound of laughter echoes all around. People are playing tag, dancing, yet they aren't children. They're adults. They're all ages. Looking in another direction, you see robust, abundant gardens full of every color of the rainbow. In a glance, you can see a plethora of exceptional vegetables, stalks of gorgeous flowers, and multitudes of native plants of every varietal. You wonder about what everyone is doing here. It's midday, there are no computers, and people are just hanging out, laughing, telling stories. There are artists painting, singers singing, fires burning, and the only obligations seem to be activities which are in service to creation. This place is new. It's rooted in ancient wisdom, but is indeed new. There is technology. There are arts of every variety, and people are working together in community to create food, music, love. There's purpose in every action, and that purpose appears to be in service to life. Not only the life of humanity, but the life of our heart, the life of our soul, the life of the trees, the animals, the plants, and Earth Mother. All of existence seems to have recalibrated to a synchronicity of self, recognizing that not one version of us can exist without Mother Earth and her natural abundance and the life she provides. This world operates without hierarchy of self or humanity over others, and originating at the divine bodily center of the heart. You understand that everyone is doing what truly lights up their soul. They work to live and support the community instead of living to work to support just themselves. This important difference means that communities are commonly together. Elders and children are learning from each other, teaching each other, and families spend days intact instead of separate. Communities have returned to nature, honoring her ability to provide when treated with respect, love, compassion as our revered home rather than simply a resource. The earth loves us completely abundantly right back with all her might and all her glory. The unseen world is now seen, but not through our eyes, through our hearts, through our souls, and through our minds. All varieties of energy are honored along with Earth. There is a peace. Can you imagine this future? Can you imagine a future in which you're driven by your soul? If you have your eyes closed, please come back to your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes, and we will return to the program. The concept of stationarity is simply the fact that we only imagine what we've seen in our history or we know from the past. Basically, it's a concept that our imaginations are limited to what we know within our human minds. At this point in human existence, we have all been alive since the Industrial Revolution. And frankly, the way in which our systems exist are not in service to the continuation of life, broadly speaking. So, how do we imagine a regenerative future, a future in which we exist in harmony with nature, with animals, with biodiversity, with the soil, with the water? How do we imagine a future in which we respect and love and revere all the elements as ourselves? When I was thinking about the creation of the blueprint, I talk to a lot of people, and there is this resistance to focusing on self, that it's too selfish, or that the collective needs more focus and we need to be more collective. But through my own journey to myself was how I connected to all things. The truth in which I had to come to myself and heal my unhealed parts in order to be able to look at the world with a new lens and literally see myself, my cells, the parts of me, my body, as equal to all things, as the same, as part of Mother Nature, as part of the animal kingdom, as one with the trees. This is what I hope that the blueprint can help do, is help people understand how to heal unhealed parts and enable themselves to move into collective vision. The truth is, we are not limited to our imaginations. We are not limited to history. We are not limited to what we've seen. We are unlimited in our minds. Our minds can imagine the unimaginable. That's what artists do. That's what people do. It's creation. We are here to create. We are creators. No matter what anyone ever told you about creativity, you are a creator. So here are a couple questions to get you thinking about your highest blueprint. What is the future you can see when you don't look at the possible or probable, but rather the perfect future for yourself without limitation of any current lifestyle? What would you be doing if money didn't make a difference? If you could do anything your heart desires and you received abundance from it, you were able to live that way? Who are your biggest supporters? What people in your life do you not feel safe to be yourself with? And what people can you surround yourself with to help you to bring the best possible future into existence? You know, I think when we look at our networks and we look at the people that love us the most, support us the most, it's also important to look at the people that are uncomfortable with our growth. And it's not as a criticism, but it's as an awareness. It's as a knowing and an understanding. Energetically, I can tell you that I have had a lot of moments. I have a lot of dreams. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of big things that I hope to do with my life still that are coming. I have a 10-year plan with a very, very major concept that's revolves around spirituality and sort of disruption of death. It's called Perennial, and it's essentially a circular celebration of life facility. So it's a facility that returns bodies to the soil. This is kind of off subject, but basically cremations are 550 pounds of carbon and traditional burial are 250 pounds of carbon. But when we bury our bodies in the soil, just the way that nature does with animals, when animals die, they fall to the ground, their bodies essentially dissolve back into earth through various modalities of animals, bugs, and otherwise. But when we return bodies to the soil, it actually sequesters, so it draws in 25 pounds of carbon. So it actually increases soil health. And they've done studies that even people that had had cancer, there was no negative impact in the soil. Basically, the soil is an amazing, incredible part of our earth. So that combined with, so it would be like an environmentally friendly treatment of burial, and secondarily, celebration of life and honoring the spirit of the person who's passed in a way that you can connect through various modalities as well: breath work, meditation, Reiki, simple. You can also just celebrate and party and essentially honor the spirit, but also bring that spirit in however you want to that person, and continue to learn ways to work with the spirit of your loved one so that you can have continued conversation if that's what you desire, so you can have a continued connection and learn how to, because I read a book called You Are Intuitive by this amazing medium Natalie Miles, and she believes everyone is intuitive, and I certainly do too. I think that all of us have the gifts and understanding, and it's also sort of a concept of stationarity. If we've been told that we cannot connect, there is no such thing as spirit, there is no such thing as souls that are still in existence beyond their bodies, that's not real. If that's what you believe, then that's what you experience until you don't, until something either crashes in or you start to expand and see that the unseen world is far, far, far greater in terms of there's a lot of things going on. It's a very vast space, but also it's incredibly, wildly exciting and fulfilling and interesting. And there's just an entire world that exists beyond what we as humans have been told is possible and is real. And I know this firsthand, but anyway, that would be a part of perennial. So it's really about connection to souls at a depth in which we haven't experienced much in a formal setting. But that's the future that I see. I see this beautiful space in the woods with walking pathways and places to honor your family members while being able to be in nature and honor them and honor yourself and honor your heart and your feelings. And so how can you essentially continue to create and see things that don't exist now for yourself, that aren't what is are based in your past? So another tool that is really great to use to imagine your highest possibilities is your Akashic Records. So basically, the Akashic Records are believed to be your entire soul's history from every lifetime you've ever had into your entire future. It's like everything relative to your soul. Essentially, there are many people that do Akashic record readings, and the belief is that there are prayers that get you into the records. It's the vibration of the words that you say, it's the intention behind that. I did a lot of work in my own Akashic records. I found a book in 2020 from the 1990s that referenced, I think it was kind of one of the original Akashic record readers that came out with the information. And so I did that prayer for a long time. And what I did was just sit with myself. I asked a lot of questions. I cried a ton. My heart broke a lot. I wrote a lot of poetry. I wrote a lot of really interesting and very, reading some of them now for this episode, I was surprised. It was like, wow, there's a lot of almost like predictive statements about even the blueprint, which I had no idea. It was nothing like this was on my radar at that time. But a lot of it was really interesting. I'm going to read a little bit more later. But the Akashic Records are a beautiful tool to be able to see more about you, see more about what historically and even into the future. And if nothing else, it's like amazingly interesting to even consider, obviously, if past lives or eternal energy are new concepts for you. It's so interesting to understand. And we're going to have an amazing oracle on the podcast who does a lot of past life seeing, who has told me things about past lives of mine, and even her and I together in past lives that are wildly interesting and so fun to know. So the other thing is working with your support system in identifying the future. And by support system, I mean the unseen. I mean your team and spirit. When you hear the phrase, you're never alone, truly you are not. And I've been told this explicitly. We are supported by, we have a team of guides. There's basically a group of people assigned to us in our soul, in our soul's existence on earth as humans, to support us in the intentions of our life, our highest timeline. And really, just like, even if you want help, you can ask your guides, you can ask your angels for help. They are your team. And so when people are lonely, I wish more people understood this. You're always infinitely loved and supported. Also, you have your ancestors, of course. And I always like to say, for all these elements, these support systems, in service to the highest good. So my ancestors in service to the highest good, because sometimes we have ancestors or any type of human connection, it can be sort of still existing in a timeline of their own humanity, i.e., maybe there was a lesson unlearned, or they essentially chose not to kind of ascend into the infinite after a lifetime, where they can kind of be still playing out old paradigms, old stories. And so again, when you say in service to the highest good for anything you do, that's what I recommend. So every time I journal or I say anything in prayer, I say in service to the highest good of all, with harm to none, because that kind of is it's like a blanket statement that is essentially saying we want the energies of the highest good for all, not any type of other energies. As we've discussed many times in the blueprint, there are other energies out there. Star family. So I believe I have a star family. I've been told I was told in Mount Shasta, I'm a Pleiadian, which, there's a lot of this. If this is also like a whole entire other segment of newness where we can talk about this. And this is where, a lot of people, I think, that want to find holes or find disbelief will go, okay, sure. I think that we're all basically ancient energies that exist from the stars, and that our energies have a lot of purpose and a lot of path, especially being alive at this time on Earth and listening to this exact thing. You have a lot to do. We're all here with a lot to do, and there's no urgency. It's like it comes when it comes. Your highest self, your soul, is always, always with you and is always infinitely supporting you. Your highest self is you. There is no separation. That's what literally lights up your existence. So the human parts of you that have been told, no, you can't do this, you're not good enough, you're not worthy, that's just your human layers of conditioning covering up the truth, in which is just that your soul is you. Your soul is literal eternal energy and wisdom beyond any human comprehension. And so know that you are never, never alone. So soul guidance is another thing I love. Literally journaling and just asking your highest self, what do I need to know today? Highest self, soul, what do I need to know today? And just without judgment of anything, just let yourself write. Another thing is the 5 whys exercise. Basically, you can ask yourself anything. Why do you want to return to your soul? And ask that why 5 times. So when you answer, ask your answer why. Why do I want to find my purpose? And then once you answer that question, okay, why? And do that why 5 times, and you will be surprised when you ask the answer why that many times, the level to which you get to is astonishing. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences in the Akashic Records. Again, it was a wild, wild time for me in 2020. I was essentially feeling very lost in my marriage. At the time, I was feeling a lot of heartbreak, but also a ton of love. I had a very young child at the time. It was the pandemic. My entire career and basically the entire events industry completely shut down. I was super grateful for my job, but it was just a time of deep, deep, deep introspection. And I knew my marriage wasn't moving in the same direction that I was. I knew that spirituality was not really a safe space, or it wasn't a safe space for that type of conversation or that type of interest. But so when I got into the Akashic Records, I literally could see energy. So in the room, I would see energetic waves on the walls around me. I could see in the air frequency. It was amazing. It would bring me to tears every time. Something so wildly profound about being able to see air, see energy. It was just beautiful. But I wrote poetry, and I really found my truth through free writing in my journal. So I just would sit there and free write and let things come through. The first thing I asked myself in the Akashic Records was about an old story I'd been repeating, which was not in service to me. And my own hand wrote back a perspective I had never considered, and it resonated very deeply with me. You are stuck in a cycle of regret and past focus because you have not yet learned to truly love yourself and see you the way he saw you. That is the part you love the most. He saw you for your soul, and you saw his too. This is your path, and it is until you can love the real you. Basically, this love story I had sort of like hung myself up on for many, many years was just saying, like, you just loved how much he loved you because you deeply, deeply want to be loved, but you can give yourself that love. And then this stinger, I'm in love with the way in which a partner sees me. And eventually they see me the way that I see myself. So how they see me is a reflection of how I see myself. For sure, there have been many, many times in life, and there were decades in which, if you would have heard the negative self-talk inside of my mind, it was just sad. And I think this is something that most people experience. Then I wrote really painful poetry. It's not pretty to show your insecurities. No one knows your pain. It's not fun to be suicidal. That's not confidence. Smile. And then, in love with the tears I cannot cry, too many years beating them away. Please come back. I long to feel the warmth on my cheek again. When I was young, it's pretty wild to look back on now, but I had suicidal thoughts pretty frequently. And now that I know what I know about energy, I honestly don't think it didn't feel like me, if I could say that. So now that have been able to identify my energy, who I am, I think I was very infiltrated with dark energy, or energy not in service to my highest good as a child, because my family is lovely. I had a really, on paper, all the things good in childhood. Of course, like any child, there were struggles, and I had a lot of feelings, like huge feelings, biggest feelings. That would be a criticism of childhood, is like I really, just like most kids back in the 90s, and wasn't supposed to feel my feeling. Do not feel anything but what's going to be comfortable for us as parents. It wasn't enough that it should have been, not that it should have been, but I think the suicidal thoughts, why I say this is that, then flash forward, I'm in my late 20s, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, things are going good. I love my job. I'm dating a guy who I wind up marrying, and I'm so happy. And all of a sudden, one day, I get hit with massive feelings of suicidal thoughts, like just completely debilitating almost. I was like, what is this? And where is this coming from? And then the next day was when Robin Williams committed suicide. And it snapped me completely out of it. And I just like witnessed, first of all, his pain. I thought he was an incredible, and he obviously is an incredible person, actor, all of the things, but just like, wow, witnessing that, and then being like, what was that? Like, where did that come from? And that energy, I didn't feel like it was me or relevant to my scenario. And I know I've said on a previous podcast, like I was walking down the street last summer and heard the phrase, it'd be a lot easier if you weren't here. And it was posed almost as if it was my own voice. it was masquerading as my intuition. And that's where, again, a lot of anyone that wants to criticize, again, I'm not a therapist and I would never pretend to be. I'm talking about energy. I'm talking about the unseen. I'm talking about the fact that we as individuals have to get so intimately aligned with our soul and understand our soul in such a depth that we're able to identify energies which are not us and essentially discern what is our truth always. And to me, when I feel these energies come in with intense darkness, knowing what I know about myself and my truth, I see those as energies looking to take me off of my path, knock me out of alignment with myself. And I don't play with those energies. I do not give them weight. I do not believe them. That I think is an important thing to understand in our world and as we move forward. I did also write, and again, like, I just want to be really careful about the concept of suicide with the utmost in respect for the sanctity of life, but also for when people are in such immense pain and feel that they don't have another avenue. That's where we talk about the circle of experience, that even on those depths, in those bottom sides of the circle, there is always a snap out. There is always an ascension to the top side again. That's what I want to encourage people to know and see and understand is like energies are able to be moved. Energies can move through you. Energies can be healed. Energies can be, and there are other healing people you can work with to assist you in energy management and energy movement when you need help. It's not something to fear, it's something to know and intimately familiarize yourself with. There was other infinite wisdom that I felt like I learned in my own journaling. Remembering death when you've never before is confirmation of the path we restore. And then don't fear the darkness. It is not you. Darkness fears the light. Now, we're not in the game of fear. We're not in the space of fear. Fear is not what we're about. We are about love. Love transmutes. Love changes fear. The most infinite energy is authenticity and love. Those are where everything's possible. After a year or two of this discomfort and 3 journals full of everything from pain to wisdom, started to surrender to the wisdom I was receiving from my soul. I wrote some pretty wild stuff, but I wrote something while in my records in 2023, and I started writing more in depth. And that's kind of also where the blueprint comes from. So here's something I wrote in 2023. Don't look ahead, look to the whole. Our lessons are defined prior to life, and they are many in each lifetime. Many of you are here to lead in the way of the new world, break and see patterns, and return to love is the only thing to worship. However, this is not a gift of scarcity. Love exists within each individual without limitation. Love is the oneness with our eternal light, unbreakable energy, the spark that lights the flame of existence. We exist as love. The soul is love. It is innate to our beingness that we exist, and therefore we are love. It is what all creation is made of. The trick of Earth School is that you're born having forgotten that, and ultimately each life intends to return to it. The man-made Earth exists in opposition. The few who fell out of this love fell into fear, fear of other, fear of death, loss, losing, created a world in which fear was driving action instead of love. However, even when one perceives to have lost everything, the love within still and always prevails. You cannot ever, in any circumstance, have it stripped from you. No human construct of money, privilege, or hierarchy can provide you more or less. Only you can see, reach, and feel your own infinite love, always available at all times. The systems which exist in large part are designed to distract from this and separate. Human bodies are high performance vehicles, the most advanced machines humans have. with respect to the same equating intricacy of the infinite complex designs in nature, animals, water, and soil. And yet there's a war on our bodies, intending humans to be unhappy with them no matter what they are, look like, etc. All is created as a distraction away from love. The food and water we put into them is essential to review. The vibration of that which we put into our bodies is key. What we eat and drink can raise or lower our frequency. Intention is a large part of what guides this as well. We must also discern the energies at play. To see and know what is yours versus what is others, external or dark, is part of your exercise in this life. This is to be done with discernment and without judgment or fear. It can and should be done with love for the parts of our human minds and bodies, which might call in these energies in need of love, in which to heal that within you which safely harbors them. It is all there. You will relearn the methods to release. You know them from lifetimes. They are in your physical blood. The story of a wound of worthiness or not enoughness is the prevailing stamp of the human created system. It creates a false need for external validation and a false narrative of helplessness. It is not real, nor is it where we want you or anyone stuck. It is a human creation and a distraction. Your existence acknowledges and claims worthiness. Existence is proof of infinite worth. This cannot be undone. Your soul is permanence of the stars and galactic family of light created by Source out of the one truth of life, love. It is by love you come into being and eternally exist in all forms. Worthiness and enoughness are fear-based man-made concepts of limitation and confusion. Humans cannot find the answer to these questions of worth or enoughness because human existence forever is the opposition and proof. And really, your soul's existence is the opposition and permanent proof of your worth. So when we identify our soul's intentions, a lot of past life regressionists essentially have found that a soul's eternal purpose is really learning. So how are we learning in this life? And how are we identifying our lessons and the things that we need to understand? I think that humans have taken on this like heaviness around purpose, that this like we have to find our purpose, and if you don't have this big purpose, then there's something you need, you're in search, you need to find and search for. And that I think is also part of this like patriarchal concept of doingness. You know, I love purpose and I have 2 businesses named purpose already. So, but I think it's kind of almost been weaponized that there must be some grandeur or this doingness in service to something outside of ourselves. I don't believe that's true. I think that the truth is like, we're here to learn and return to ourselves, return to truth. And when we return to our truth, that is when the world opens up with possibility, because we start creating from the heart. So I want you to envision the most beautiful aspects of your most optimal life. So as we mentioned in part 5, let's think about flow states and the activities which you did when you're a kid. Understanding flow states, make a list of your ages starting 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, etc., and list all the activities that lit you up during those ages all the way until today, and sit with what has lit you up over that time. In a world where we start from scratch, what are you doing? What are the things in which you do for yourself, for joy, and for your community? Check out the Akashic Records. Think about the people in your network. Think about your soul family, and continue to understand that imagining the highest possibility for the future has no limit. It's only limited to what we perceive. So what if we erase our perceptions and we start with the most perfect opportunity that exists from the heart? Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm grateful for you, and we will see you on part 9. Thank you for choosing yourself. The work to return to yourself is some of the hardest work you can do. We believe everyone is intuitive, creative, and always connected to their own divine highest power. When we invest in ourselves and our consciousness, we are raising the frequency of humanity. What we do in the highest good of our souls, we do for the highest good of all. We've designed experiences for you to continue in your exploration of these topics, which are on a pay-what-you-can basis. Find customized meditations, journal prompts, rituals, and abundant resources at the link in our bio or theblueprintwithin.com.